welcome to a Daily Dose of Hope, day 354. Nice to meet you and nice to see you again. My name is Jason, and a Daily Dose of Hope is an attempt to find that middle path in between the two polarities that we're working under at this moment. And I like to bring in the yin and yang symbol as a good way of explaining it. So the yin and yang symbol, as most of us, I think pretty much everyone knows the symbol. And it's a representation of our third dimension. And I heard from a Taoist, actually a woman who studied the Tao in China for about 12 years or so, that the actual symbol is 3D. So it's quite a little bit more complex in that sense. But that there are two sides, right? There are these two polarities, but in the middle, there's this middle path that we can walk down. Right? We don't have to jump into one side or the other. We can see everything playing out in this world as a story, as a narrative, and that everything has a meaning. And we usually don't understand what it's for. We don't really know what this story is about. Even in our own lives, sometimes we don't know why people are saying certain things or acting certain ways. And so for us to be in judgment kind of makes us assume that we know more than we do, that we're not, that maybe we are the ones. I'm not going to go down that path, but we really don't understand all of the different situations because we don't have a bird's eye view on it. It's like in Google Maps, we just have the street view, and we can only move like where the arrow shows us, and so we only have a few different choices. And but if we were able to see the whole picture, it's, oh right, I want to get over there. Why am I doing this? I need to do this, but we don't have that. And so what we do is we try to understand, well, and that's where guidance comes in. That's where we ask our guides to help us out, or intuition, or whatever you'd like to call it. We listen to our heart and not our mind, because our mind's going to tell us, you have to jump into the polarities, you have to do this, you have to, but our heart's going to say, no, let's go over to that field over there. Let's take a nap in the grass under that tree, or that's what the heart's going to say. And the mind's going to say, what is the heart saying? The heart is insane. Taking a nap, that's so impractical. And we listen to our guidance to help us to follow that middle path. And from my guides, what they've said is that the middle path is the only way out of here. The only exit from the third dimension, from this cycle and cycles and cycles of reincarnation, is to find the middle path. And that's what we're trying to learn. And at this moment on our planet, the polarities are extremely charged, as you probably have already noticed, that certain words will make people lose their stuff. You just say one or two words and everyone's just going to lose their stuff, and they're going to get really emotional, and their face is going to change, and they're not going to look like themselves anymore. That means things are polarized. That's how you tell. If you can say one word and then make someone lose their stuff, then that means things are pretty polarized. And the reason that they're so polarized is because we are being pushed in that sense to the middle path. The polarization is so strong that even if you're kind of into it, you're gung-ho for one or the other, it's still hard to maintain. It's kind of untenable. Maybe for short periods of time you can jump into the polarity, but it's just so intense that you tend to kind of walk back to the middle and just walk back to that peaceful path. And so the Daily Dose of Hope is about that, trying to help, if you need it, to help you get back into that middle path. So that's an explanation of what the Daily Dose of Hope is. This is my site, and it has my offerings here. So I got spiritual guidance. Here with spiritual guidance, I got 3 different types of sessions: a 1-question session, 30-minute session, 60-minute session. And I just work with my guides, in contact with your guide, whoever wants to come over and ask or answer any questions that you need to be answered. And I have testimonials below. And then I also have, offerings. So you can click on here, offerings, and we have a membership site. And in the membership site, it's two monthly meetings, and we gather, and then people bring their questions and I channel the answer. And if you join this, then you also get access to this, which is the archives of everything so far. So 2 years worth of channeling, about 50 hours of channeling, plus about 30 sound baths. Sound baths are meditational music, music meditation, I guess you could call it, just to help you to relax and get into a peaceful state. And yeah, so we have all the videos and the transcripts too. All right, so that's what I got to show you. And so today I have a whole bunch of things I want to share, and I'll just start with the Course in Miracles. So I recently started doing the Course in Miracles again. I took about a year off. I was doing it for 6 years, and then it took a year off just to get some distance, a little bit of distance from it, because I think I was getting too much into it. I found myself getting into arguments about it, and that's when you know you're too much into it. Michael, you say, hey, I'm listening to you while cooking steak. Hey, sounds good. Woohoo! Yeah, so the Course in Miracles is a wonderful book that helps you to deal with all this stuff so that you don't lose your stuff when you hear certain words, for example, so you're not triggered by everything. The Course in Miracles is something, that I was doing for 6 years, but then I found myself getting into arguments about it. People would say something, and I would say, no, well, the Course says it's like this. And I thought, oh, well, I'm turning this into a religion. And I don't think the Course is about being a religion. It's just you learn the information, let it go, and live your life. That's how I view it. I guess you can view everything however you'd like to, but that's how I view it. So if you're arguing about it, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the Course. Why are you arguing about words? This is the whole point. It's all an illusion. So lesson 9, though, I see nothing as it is now. And so let's see. So I see nothing as it is now is just talking about the idea that we don't really see. We think we see, but all we see is our judgment. We see our perception. We see our mind projected outside of us. And that's all we see. And everything that we see is in the past, because everything started as a thought. It started in our mental body and our emotional body, and then it finally came down here. So it's pretty far in the past already. So rather than seeing things outside of us as what is happening, the now is happening inside of us. And but I wanted to share, let's see. It says, understanding this is not necessary at this point. In fact, the recognition that you do not understand is a prerequisite for undoing your false ideals. So there you go. I like that idea. Recognition that you don't understand is very important. That's like the first step. You're kind of admitting, I don't know what everything's for. So wanted to share that. And I also wanted to share this. This was my teacher, and this is an amazing site. If you ever get a chance to check it out, Niburian Council, and excuse me. But she has this thing called the Keys of Compassion. So it was a channeled. It's kind of like the Course in Miracles, I think. I use both of them. In fact, that's how kind of my worldview is kind of geared towards this Keys of Compassion and Course in Miracles, and that's helped me, in addition to guidance, to maneuver these crazy years that we've been in and crazy years that we're approaching as well. So the Keys of Compassion are wonderful, and they're ways of understanding your relationships. And it's similar in the sense of Course in Miracles, but it's different in a way. It's a different perspective, but similar wavelength. And but I really recommend this if you are suffering in relationships or situations that are happening to you. She has, let's see, it's called the Formula of Compassion, Contracts and Promises, Divine Partnership, Hold On to Nothing and You Have Everything, Dancing with the Dark, Agreements, Apologies. And these are the different steps that whenever you have something that's happening in your life, there are ways of how to see it, how to change your perspective on it, and understanding that in that sense that everything is really for you, but you have to understand where it is. And so it's a process. And so I really recommend this. And the reason I'm bringing this up today was because I was triggered this morning, and really like yeah, got very emotional. Not like, well, when I get emotional, people don't really see it, but for me, it was emotional. And I was really triggered, and I was like, wow, why am I so triggered by that? There was nothing there. There was no reason to be triggered, but I was, and I thought, my God, what's going on? And I went into meditation, and but one of the things that came out in the meditations was you still have buttons to push. If you get upset, it shows that you still have buttons to push, and that shows you where you need to work on. If you don't have any buttons to be pushed, then you won't get upset. But if you have buttons, if you have things that people will say to you that can make you emotional, words that can make you emotional, that means you still have buttons to be pushed. And buttons, that reminds me of Coraline, which is a movie or a book that was written by Neil Gaiman. And in the book, there's this alternative reality, and in the alternative reality, there is this woman here, the other mother, and she's got buttons for eyes, and she wants everyone else to have buttons for eyes as well. And that's what came up for me. And having buttons means that you can be controlled. So that's what I wanted to share about that. So just I'm kind of riffing off of this button idea, but you get the idea. And that buttons can be many different things. And many people in our world have buttons. They are being controlled by guilt, by bribery, by all kinds of different things. And that it's really important for us, in order to be free, is to get rid of our buttons. And so when we do get emotional, it's important to see where we are getting emotional and why we're getting emotional. And so this button idea reminded me of that. And many people have buttons. There are many people that have more buttons than others. But I recommend the Keys of Compassion, and also Course in Miracles to address your buttons. And one thing that when your buttons are pushed, though, is that what I usually do is I really try to get into the backstory. I try to understand, okay, so this person pushed my buttons, and they probably know, most people who push your buttons, they know what buttons to push, and they know why, and they're masters at. But you also have to look at their backstory and see, well, why do they feel the need to go to that place? Why do they feel the need to say things like that? And so you have to look in their backstory. I mean, no one who has composure of mind, who has peace of mind, will do something like that. It's not something that you do if you're in a good place. You have to be in a painful place, like an animal backed into a corner. You have to have had a lot of sadness in your life, a lot of things that weren't working the way they could. And so you just have to look at that and understand that they don't really. It's kind of like that. They don't realize what they're doing. That passage from the Bible that forgive them for they don't realize what they're doing. That's a paraphrase of it. But yeah, they don't understand. And I mean, if they did, if they understood that the buttons that they push on you, that they are pushing their own buttons, and they're just kind of digging the hole deeper. And so just understanding all that and taking that in, and just taking a step back and saying, thank you for pushing my buttons. I didn't realize I still had buttons to push. But once you understand their backstory, then you can kind of take a step back and, yeah, all right, I guess this is something I have to deal with. And again, of course, if this is fight or flight, that's a different story. But I'm talking about, if your buttons are pushed, if it's trying to keep you, survive, you're in a survival mode, that's a different story. This is talking about just situations where your buttons are pushed. So I wanted to share that. The Keys of Compassion have gotten me through a lot. So I recommend that. Yeah. And let's see, what I wanted to. The other thing I wanted to share was, just wanted to share this actually, the electromagnetic spectrum, and what we see. So riffing off of this idea of what was the idea that I see nothing as it is. Here's the electromagnetic spectrum. This is the electromagnetic spectrum. So the spectrum of light that we see. right, and not see. So if you look at this, so here we have power, televisions, telephones, satellites, sunlight, X-rays, gamma rays, all this kind of stuff, right? These are all the different rays. And if you look at the bottom, this thing down here, it says visible light. Visible light, right? That's how much we can see, we humans can see. And if you look at it, look how tiny it is. This is all we can see. This is all we can see, but there's so much more to the world than what we see. And we try to make our judgments of the world based on this tiny little spectrum here. Tiny little spectrum. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. Yeah, But that's it. That's all we got. And we can't see. We're not looking at the X-rays, the gamma rays, the ultraviolets, the radio waves. And these things are all around us, and they are affecting us, and they are changing us, and they have meaning. And so if we try to lead our life based on what we see visibly, we are kind of walking around in circles, basically. And I think this is a good parallel for guidance as well. For we don't really know, and we can't really see all these things with our physical eyes. And that's why it's so important to turn inside, to look inside, and to start listening to your guides, listening to your heart, because our hearts are we are spirit. We're not this physical body. So we can see these things, but maybe not necessarily with our physical eyes, but we can feel them out. And so, yeah, that's why it's so important to go inside. So I wanted to share that. And excuse me. So the electromagnetic spectrum. And then in one other thing too is that I'm reading this book again. This book, it's called Neverwhere. So recently, I'm on a big Neil Gaiman kick again. His books seem to relate to a lot of the stuff that I've been getting in channeling, a lot of the stuff that I've been getting in guidance. So it's very interesting for me, the crossovers there, where I thought most of his books were kind of fantasy. And I thought, where does he get these ideas? And then I start in my channeling, I'm thinking, oh, these are actual things. These are things that are happening. And but this book, Neverwhere, is about this underground. So it's set in London. So the London Underground, and I guess in the sense, as a novelist, he was riffing off the idea that there is an underground, a real underground under London, and that it's like a mirror image of the London that's above, and that once you get into this underground, you can't go back up. Well, not everyone can go back up. You get lost. And if you do go back up, people won't be able to see you anymore because you're part of the underworld. And it's quite an interesting book. And the reason I bring it up is because it reminded me a bit of what Sandalphon had shown me. Archangel Sandalphon showed me, he took me into the inner earth. The first time he took me under the ground, but then the second time, before we went to the inner earth, we went to the in-between place. The in-between place is kind of like the I haven't said this since I was a kid, but HE double hockey sticks place that we all hear about. And it was like that. It was just like the worst thing you could ever imagine. It's just there, but it was like a town. It was a city, and I mean, there was a whole community. Everything was happening there. They had everything. It was like just a different world. So he showed me, and that existed, but that was kind of in between. So below us, there is that place, and then below that, there's the actual inner earth, where there are beings that are a little bit higher dimensional. And I thought it was very interesting that he was talking about this. And the reason that I'm bringing it up, why am I bringing this up? Well, because I think that this kind of idea is part of the disclosure thing that will start to come out, and this is heavily tied to it. And so I wanted to bring that up. And also just that we have all these different stories about it. And so I think the way to look at it is that you could think of it as a physical place or as a dimensional place. And I think it's a mixture of the two. I think there's a mixture of two different places. But anyway, I just wanted to share that related to that rabbit and the mind virus that I was talking about before. And I think this is another thing. And I think probably books like this might be seeding that idea. And another, just this is so Neil Gaiman kick. So American Gods. I was reading this book. And these books are really amazing. They're really well written, and it just really catches your attention. But the sentence structures too. It just pulls you in. And but this book is about American Gods. I talk about this a lot because I found that it's very true, actually. That but this is the story that there are many immigrants that came to America, and many people from all over the world, and so each people, they brought their own religions with them when they came over. And after a few generations, maybe they stopped practicing that religion. But the belief system was still there. So whatever they created, the archetypes that they created with their belief system still exist. But they don't have the energy that they used to have. And so that's the gods things, archetypes, whatever you want to call them. Archetypes, I think, fits better for me in my kind of worldview. Yeah, so they created these archetypes, and these archetypes still exist, but they don't have the energy that they used to, and they're struggling to get by. And but one thing in the book, the last part of it that kind of really struck me was that, this is a spoiler alert, but the one god, Odin is, a Norse god, I think it was. But Odin was going to start a war. And there was going to be a war between the old gods and the new gods. The old gods were the ones that were brought over, and the new gods were like credit card, social security, bank, health insurance. Because those are what we worship, right? That's all we talk about, mortgage, and but there was going to be a war. But what the son of Odin realized was that Odin was actually orchestrating the war so that he could feed off of the energy of the war. And so that when, for example, in a battle, the ancient battles, they would say, I dedicate this battle to so-and-so. And then that energy of the battle would go to that place. And so this kind of energy thing relates to what happened to me yesterday, where I got a lesson from that crazy looking creature that was feeding off of my energy. And the way that he came to me was that there were these people that were thinking not so nice thoughts. They were a group of people who were thinking not so nice thoughts, and this being surfed on that energy. And so what I wanted to share about that was that, yes, this is an old idea, and that it's so important for everyone to understand, to have your energy, to make sure that you are aware of your energy, and aware of where your energy is. So an example of this is there are many different people who are protesting all over the world, right? They're doing different protests. And I was walking around my town one time, I think it was a year or two ago. There's just, everyone's just jumping around doing all kinds of stuff. But I was walking around my town, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what they're protesting. And I looked over, I was trying to figure it out. And I just kind of walked among them to see. And then I was just like, oh my God, the energy here is so dark. It's so like depleted. It's just void of energy. Everyone looks vacant. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? I mean, usually when people are kind of protesting, they seem to be energetic, but it was just vacant. They were just wandering around like zombies. And I thought, and then, so exactly. So you think that maybe you're going into a protest or something like that, or you're going into even an argument, whatever it is. You think that you're doing one thing, but you have to be aware of your emotions, because if you're not aware of your emotions, then that energy can easily be taken into somewhere else. So, maybe you're just going out and, I'll say, for example, you're protesting chocolate. I don't like chocolate. Yeah, chocolate's bad. It's too sweet. Whatever it is. So you're out protesting chocolate. Yeah, and you think that by protesting chocolate, there's going to be no more chocolate in the world. It's going to be gone. But all you're doing, if you're not aware of your emotions, is either you're putting out some energy out there, right? And if you're not aware of your emotions, usually people will get a little bit angry because there's going to be some feedback, because chocolate lovers are going to be out there and saying like, hey, I love chocolate. What are you trying to take away my chocolate? And so there's going to be some aggression and confrontation. So all this energy, this is not helping whatever it is that you want. I mean, if you don't want chocolate in the world, or you want less chocolate in the world, just stop buying it. um, don't put your energy into it. But if you're going to go out and to do something like that, that you're putting anger and aggression into the mass consciousness. You're just, I mean, that's basically what it is. And not to say that there's something bad about it, but it's very important, especially in these times when everything's really polarized, to really know where your emotions are. What is it that you would like to happen? What is it that you would like to see? And for most of us, what it is we would like to be happy. We'd like to have enough food to eat. We'd like to be relatively successful. We'd like to, be loved. I mean, just simple things. And everyone, there's no one that doesn't want that. We all want that. And so we're all kind of the same, we're all in the same boat. And so understanding that and then connecting that. So I think I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm just talking about your energy and how your energy can easily be manipulated if you're not aware of it. And so when you join these groups as one, you can easily find yourself taken to another place. And I'm not sure if I'm expressing this well enough, but that's what I wanted to say about that. So this, in the book, The American Gods, they say, I dedicate this war to this, to Odin or whatever. And I thought, that's what they're doing. And that's, so it's not, your energy is your emotions, right, are very, very powerful, and they've got energy to them, and they can create things. And if you're not using them, someone else will. And that's the point. So, for example, I would imagine, like, if you don't like chocolate, and, so physical things you could do is like, don't buy chocolate. And another thing you do is don't think about chocolate, because the more you think about it, you're giving it more energy. And the other thing about chocolate is that you can imagine a world where there's no chocolate. I mean, personally, I love chocolate, so I please don't do that. But yeah. So Michael, you say, I was questioning with my dad the other night. He got very angry, and it's like a demonic force came out of him. And that night I had dreams of being attacked. Never talking politics again. Yeah, I've actually had a similar thing happen to me before, where I jumped into the ring kind of publicly once. And yeah, I got pretty attacked, pretty hardcore. But the thing to understand about this, because I started questioning, I was like, oh my God, so that person that was attacking me, oh my, what do they do? Who are they? Always to understand is that these ideas that we're talking about, so politics, for example, are charged. They're polarized, and so when you're talking about them, even if you're aware of your emotions, you can tend to get lost in that world. And that's the polarization. Like, these are people that you love, or people that, they're friends with, and then all of a sudden, something changes. It's a word, it's a trigger, it's a button that's being pressed. And it's a place for all of us to see, like, oh, that word, I don't know why, but that word really hit me. What's going on with that word? And just to understand that, and that, yeah, within the politics too, within this polarization, they are very polarized. So these words actually have energy to them. And so what will be attacking you is the energy. It's almost like an archetype from that energy that's being created. And that is what will be attacking you. So don't take it personally, is what I wanted to say. Because at first I was taking it personally, like, oh my goodness, like that person's, but it's these are energies that are surfing these emotions that we're creating. That's the power that we have, and that's why, that's why, yeah, I shouldn't go there, but that's why. So that's what I wanted to share. My goodness, I'm talking a lot, but I'm just going to really last thing, and then I'm going to go into a channeling. But last thing is tarot cards. These things like have made me sick for like most of my life. Like I've always been interested in them, but every time I try to like use them or look at them, I start feeling like nauseous, like, ugh, and I have to get away from them. And so I was talking with my guides about that, and yeah, they've always said, stay clear away from tarot cards. But then recently they were like, oh, okay, it's time. You can get into them a bit. And they told me that the reason that they had been keeping me away from them was, well, first of all, they wanted me to be dealing directly, so kind of direct connection with the energies, and not have like something in between it. So this is kind of like a go-between. But they wanted me to be able to have a direct connection and not have to rely on anything to get there. But what they've been saying now is that, okay, so you understand the direct connection, the way to do that, and the next thing that you could work on is the interpretation. So I have the direct connection, I have the images and the words and things like that. And then the next thing to be working on is, so we as humans, we have two abilities, right? We have this ability to have a direct connection with higher dimensional beings, and then we also have logic, and we can interpret things within our third dimensional world. And then when we use both of those things together, then it's even more amazing. So we're using both of our powers, not just bringing something down, but also interpreting it. And yeah, that was another thing they were saying too, because a lot of people don't like channeled messages, and so the messages won't reach many people because it just turns them off. I mean, with the belief system, it just pushes all the buttons. It's just like, you know. So, but yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm kind of happy about it because I'm really interested in this. But they did say that, like, the tarot cards it's a very 3D world that they depict, and that's another aspect of it, is realizing that it's a very 3D world. It's really based on this third dimension, because if we look beyond the third dimension, it's all, I mean, well, not beyond, but beyond. If you really look underneath everything, underneath the hood, it's all love. And so all these different things, like if this was an accurate portrayal of how things really are, it would just be like love, 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 love. All the cards would just be the love card. That would be it, like, so I'm doing a reading for you and it's love and love, 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 love. Well, that would be accurate. So it's just one perspective, but it's a very third dimensional perspective. And that's another thing they wanted me to know about these things. So that's kind of interesting, though. So it would be a way of interpreting love, 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 love into a little more easy to understand way, I guess, in our third dimension. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. So my channeling, I want to go into, maybe they could talk a little bit about Neverwhere, about that kind of underground place, and give us some more insight into that, if that's something that they think we need insight into, and a little bit more insight into these the polarities and how these things are being polarized. Okay, here we go. Greetings, we are Esmeralda, and we're here, and we're here, and we're here. And first of all, yes, we'd like to talk about the polarities. So the polarities are wonderful things. Their polarities are wonderful things because these are the things that catalyze you. These are the things that move you into the place that you need to go. And as you know, in your world at this moment, the place that you need to go is the middle path, and that's what the polarities are doing. They're pushing all of your buttons. They're pushing all of your buttons to make you realize where you need to work on, and to work on that, work on the shadows, get rid of everything, get right into the middle path, because the middle path is where you need to be at this moment when all these things are starting to change. The more of you that are in the middle path, the easier it will be, not only for the earth to go through this new paradigm, but also for you as a humankind, because if enough of you do one thing, you are a mass consciousness. If enough of you do the one thing, then all of you will do that one thing. And so by going into that middle path, you will be helping out humankind as well as the earth itself. And that is what the polarities are helping to. They are assisting you in moving into that middle path. And that is the place that you're in at this moment. And as this being is talking about these energies and the surfing of these energies, yes, this is all a part, and always has been a part, of your third dimensional world. This is the wild and wacky world that you live in, the wild and wacky world that you chose to come into. This is the third dimension, and it is wild. It is wild, and all things are here. There are all choices. There are all possibilities. Everything is crazy and wild and also peaceful at the same time. time. This is where you decided to incarnate in. You wanted to experience this weird and wild world that you live in. And now you're being shown exactly what it is made of. And isn't it wonderful to see and understand all of the things that make up this world that you are in? It's important to understand it so that you can go to the next paradigm. This is a graduation course in that sense, a master's course, in order for you to understand this third dimension and how it works. And that's why everything is, as this being says, turned up to 11. It's turned up to 11 so you can hear it, so you can see it, so all of you can see it. You're being shaken up. This is, as you might say, a rock concert where everyone is being shaken up, and your ears are ringing and your body is ringing, and you're not sure exactly where you are. Perfect. It's perfect. That's where you should be. You shouldn't be sure exactly where you are in this illusion. You never know where you are in the illusion. The only thing that you know for sure is that you're made of love. And the closest place to be in love in this, in these times, or in this third dimension, is in that middle path. Ooh, Esmeralda's on fire today. Woo-hoo. And she didn't talk about that neverwhere, but okay. Oh well. So yeah, it's funny though that Michael, that you talked about that having that argument and then having that happen, was very interesting. Because I had the same exact thing, and that's what stopped me from getting into those things ever again. I thought, oh man, if that's the price that you have to pay to join in the polarity, then I'd rather just walk around and, you know, take long walks in the sunshine and eat ice cream and just be quiet when those things pop up. And some people are fighters. Some people are warriors. Like they're here to, you know, be a warrior. But I'm not. I'm here to kind of, you know, send light out. As they said, right? The lighthouse. That's my kind of job. I'm not jumping into the ocean. You know, the lighthouse doesn't jump into the ocean, and otherwise you won't be able to see the light. So that kind of thing. You just stand on the shore and project the light out. So, Michael, you say Esmeralda is a wonderful speaker. Yeah, she's on fire. So today, tonight actually, Japan time, we have our meeting for the Lightworker meeting. So if you are interested in joining, today's the first session of this month, and it's all on the website. And Michael, yeah, I'll see you later on today. And it took me a week to recover. He said, yeah. That's the whole idea. I mean, everything, our buttons are being pushed, you know. And how can we be in a situation like that and not be triggered and not have our buttons pushed? How can we just be able to see many different possibilities and to accept possibilities that we maybe don't agree with, and just say, okay, I see that that's how you think. I understand. That's where you are. I'm over here. And maybe you don't even have to say that you're over there. Just, okay, I see. I understand. Yeah, because I mean, that's what it is. I mean, we're all going through it together. We're all going through this roller coaster of emotions and things. And you just have to kind of understand that everyone's going through a lot of stuff. And that just let them, you know, just understand. Don't get too, I think that's the important thing too, is don't be in too much of a judgment sort of thing. Just like, oh, okay, wow, they must have a lot going on now. Okay, you know, but their emotions are not who they are. They are made of love, you know, and they're maybe the emotions got caught in a polarity, but they'll be back. So anyway, that's my Daily Dose of Hope for today, April 12th, 2025. And yeah, so hopefully I will see you all tomorrow. Michael, I'll see you soon. And everyone else, thanks for joining in, and go beach. Woohoo! All right, ciao for now.